Hi, I'm Anna and welcome back to my channel, Building a Business. So today's video is exciting because I am under contract on my second property. This happened a lot faster than I was expecting, and it's been a really exciting process so far, but my excitement started to drain a little bit yesterday and continued to drain today. So I'm here to explain kind of what's happening and what I'm thinking about moving forward or not on this deal. So first of all, the property is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom property in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The property was originally listed at $62,900. I put in an all-cash offer for $55,000. The seller came back and countered at $59,000, and then again I went back and offered $57,000, which the seller accepted. So I'm under contract on the property for $57,000. I put $2,000 down as a due diligence fee and $100 for an escrow fee. So for those of you who have seen my last financial update, which I will link up here, at the end of September I had less than $30,000 in my savings account for my rental properties. So the question would be, how am I able to offer $57,000 in cash for this property? And the reason is I was able to get a private loan for $70,000, which I will be repaying over the next 15 years. And so $15,000 is way more than I need for this property, given that I'm under contract on the property for $57,000. So my plan is to basically split up this $70,000 loan into 2 different purchases. So about $35,000 I will set aside for this purchase and about $35,000 for my next purchase. So moving on, I've done some analysis of this property and I expect to be able to make about $100 to $200 per month in cash flow. If I were to just take the straight up 50% rule of thumb, as in the rule of thumb that states that about 50% of your rent will go towards maintenance, capital expenditures, property taxes, insurance. If I were to look at it that way, then my cash flow would be about $166 per month. So it's definitely not a ton, but it's better than nothing. And I really see this property as a learning experience because it's my first property that I'm purchasing that's not a turnkey property. So I had to find a realtor and property management company and inspector and all of that myself. And so that leads me into my next points, which are why I'm starting to get a little bit nervous about this deal. First of all, I talked with a property management company that I've done some research on and think would be a really good option for me. And they seemed very confident that they could get the property rented for the price that I was anticipating. The issue that they brought up is that it's really not the nicest neighborhood. And I knew that going into it. And my sense is that this particular property management company focuses on nicer areas. And so them saying that just implied that, this isn't the nicest area. They mentioned that the schools aren't the best in this area, which of course is not ideal, but not everyone is interested in the schools, especially as a rental. I spent a lot of time going down all the various streets nearby on Google Maps to just kind of get a sense of what's happening there. And I didn't see anything alarming. It seemed like, sure, the properties weren't the nicest, but none of them were falling apart by any means. They were all well maintained, and it seemed like an area that I would be comfortable renting in. Of course, it's easy to say that when I've just been looking at Google Maps. It's another question of when I actually go visit there, if I go visit there anytime soon, how it will feel in person. So that, as an out-of-state investor who hasn't actually gone and seen the property, that's kind of a big unknown for me. I have to go off of what other people have told me, and I've gotten somewhat of a varied response to how nice the neighborhood is and what type of people live there and rent there and everything. The other thing the property management company stated was that my home would probably be the nicest on the block, and I definitely knew that going into this. It's a lot cuter, might be the right word, than most of the other properties. And for me, I see that as an advantage. I think given the people that are interested in renting in this area, I'll be able to get the best tenant of all of them, given that my property looks the nicest. That being said, I don't want to make the property nicer than the rents will allow. So for that reason, I'm not going to be doing any sort of cosmetic upgrades. I'm not going to be changing the light fixtures or changing out the tile in the bathroom, that type of thing. I'm not going to focus on because I don't think that doing that will increase the rents that I'm able to get. I would also be concerned if the price of this home is significantly more than the prices of the homes that are around it. But it's not the case. So yes, it looks like it's the nicest property on the block, but I'm not paying more than the cost of the other homes on the block. So for me, it seems like a pretty good deal. I know in general you should avoid having the nicest home on the block, but I think for what I'm trying to get and for the numbers that this particular property has, I don't think it's a problem in my case. Of course, only time will tell. And that kind of leads me to my biggest issue, which is yesterday evening I got my inspection report back. It's an old home, so I wasn't expecting a perfect inspection report, but it was a lot more concerning than I was expecting. There were significant structural issues, as well as a lot of water damage, both in the crawl space underneath the home and along one of the walls. So I'm working with a contractor who specializes in mold remediation, water issues, and structural issues, and he's going to get me a quote ideally by tomorrow. Now the question is, what do I do with that quote? I'm still a little bit on the fence, but I'm thinking that I'm going to use that quote and go to the sellers and say, here is how much it's going to cost me to fix all of these issues. These are issues that I couldn't have known just by taking a tour during an open house, and so I'm hoping to get a credit for the cost of the repairs. I talked with my realtor a bit about this, and she seemed a little reluctant to do that. She felt like because this property is being sold as is, that the sellers aren't going to make those concessions. And I understand that. My interpretation of being sold as is was that the sellers weren't going to make any repairs themselves, which I'm totally okay with. That being said, I thought it was still all right for me to negotiate based off of any big repairs that I have found. So at this point, I'm thinking I'm going to ask the sellers to give me a credit for the repairs that need to be done. And if they don't agree to that, I think I'm going to pull out of the deal. I haven't decided for sure because I would like to get that quote first and see what the sellers have to say about it. But given how much the repairs are likely to be, I definitely don't think I'm going to go through with this deal if the sellers don't give me some sort of credit for the repairs that need to be done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it below and subscribe to my channel to get more videos like this every Thursday.